Welcome to Bears Banter, the postseason. Where the Bears Banter is where Chicago Bears fans meet to talk about the game. Tonight on the broadcast, you have Guy Moore, Jaye Beasley, Flournoy. How y'all doing tonight?
All right.
Doing good? Okay, good.
I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm good.
we're missing Tammy tonight. She's out there vacationing. And we're missing Dante. He's back at school. We're going to have a special guest tonight, James Gilmore. Not the James Gilmore that used to play for Chicago Bears, though, but another James Gilmore.
You freezing up, but not a little bit.
Am I freezing up? Okay.
Yeah, you're freezing up a little bit.
I'm freezing a little bit. How about the communication? Yeah. Can you hear me? Can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah, the communication is fine. The communication is fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me try something. Let me go here for a minute. Let's do a season recap, and I'm gonna go off screen for a minute. You hear me okay, Plank?
What's the screen? Yeah, I can hear you clearly.
Oh, you hear me clear? Okay. And it's what, the screen is freezing?
You said bust the screen.
Yeah.
Oh, I just make it clear because every time I hear his name, you're like,
you got me getting scared now.
Hold on, sorry, I gotta look at something on my phone. I think what's happening is the Facebook connection that's causing that. Hold on. We're gonna fix that.
Troubleshooting on the fly.
I think that maybe that should help. So anyway, this week has been a lot of things that happened with the Chicago Bears. As far as information is why we're doing this post game. The Bears actually had a press conference making an announcement. Yeah. Hey, we already knew that once they came out that losing streak. What was that, Jay?
No, I said, is that what you call that, a press conference? That was a joke.
That's what they call it.
That was a joke.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good word to use, Keith. A farce. That was a farce. Smoke and mirrors, as Guy said during the text. Smoke and mirrors.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. But anyway, the Bears announced that they were not going to. Let me tell it this way: the Bears announced that they was retaining Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace, and
that clearly says that the whole season and all the losses on offense and everything else that we didn't do well was Chuck Pagano's fault. So
yeah,
he's gonna retire. So we should be 100% better.
Yeah. How ironic is that Chuck actually retires the day before they had a press conference? Now, we before we get into this, I just want to go backtrack a little bit. Last year, at the end of the season, what the Bears did was, to me, Matt Nagy threw all his offensive coaches under the bus by firing them like they were all the problem.
Right.
Okay, so this year what he turns around and does is the day before they make the announcement, Chuck Pagano conveniently announced his retirement. So to me, that was an indication that as well that the defense was the problem on this team.
The defense kept the offense from scoring more than 3 points. Okay. That's an argument. I don't know if I agree with it, but okay.
Right.
What so you got on that, Jay? No.
This has been typical of, to me, Matt Nagy. Now, last year, what he also did, not only he threw the offensive coaches all under the bus, he threw Mitch Trubisky under the bus last year as well.
He did.
Yeah, what he did last year, I had never seen a head coach ever do this. We've all suspected that there were certain quarterbacks that could not read defenses. Now, you might have heard a player say that after their career was over, but I never saw a head coach come out and say, my starting quarterback can't read defenses. So to me, that is when he threw Mitch under the bus as well to set up, we're about to go get somebody to replace him.
It never stopped Michael Vick. So
right.
Okay, so
That's a good
That's a
point.
shot in the dark. Michael Vick only comes like once every 25 years. But you get somebody that's that good, like man, I don't even
It
need to
didn't
play.
stop
Just,
Cam Newton
just give me
either.
a kill and some dogs, and I'm good. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But that you know what the problem that I have is uh with Nagy is you always see that person. It's like you ever sit in a room, somebody like, oh, who farted? It's you. You the one that's just asking. You the one that lit up. But you look around everybody else, and you already know it was you. You know what I'm saying? So you throw Mitch on the top about he can't read defenses. Well, about reading, maybe you can't read them plays that you got on that little flexible card that you use. Because even the average Bears fan knows when you calling plays. Because when you call plays, it seems like we get negative yards. And then as soon as he switches back over to laser, now we drop off 5, drop off 7, or we do something stupid in the red zone. So this whole pointing fingers at people stuff, like I said, Nagy should have left. I know he wasn't going to. Pace, Phillips should have been gone too. But that whole thing, that press conference thing, man, I was like watching cartoons.
Guy,
Yes.
Nagy has no loyalty. That's his main problem. Okay,
Yeah.
so here's an example. If you running around and you got a partner and your partner runs out of the room and somebody comes up and start telling you all kind of stuff, hey man, he ain't cool, he did this or whatever. They're not talking about your partner. They
Right.
talking about you.
You
So it's
exactly.
your job as the loyal person to defend your partner in his
Mm,
absence.
yep.
Nagy waits for you to leave the room and immediately starts talking about you the reason that they didn't win. That's a lack of integrity and no heart as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, but he would be the dude that God rest his soul that Debo would just walk up to and just slap out of the blue. Because Debo, the only one in the room, know what time it is. And he just like,
Well, all I can say is what we saw as far as the press conference. I'm not surprised. I knew they were
uh-oh.
Nagy. Nagy got 2 years left on his contract. Maybe if he had one, they probably would have did it. But I kind of figured that. But then you have to look at it as well. Nagy is 28-20 in his 3 years. They made the playoffs twice.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that might sound good, but the Bears again are settling for mediocrity, and this is what it all is. And the bottom line is, I don't see it getting no better in the future because I sent y'all the article yesterday about the salary cap, which I know I might be getting ahead of the show.
Mhm.
We in cap hell, so I can't really see this getting no better. So they are just going to mire in mediocrity. And unfortunately, as Bears fans, we can do one or two things. We can ride the wave or we can find another team. And as a Chicagoan, I'm not going to find another team. I got to ride the wave. And it's sad.
Yeah. I agree with you, man. But you know
Yeah.
what? It was Bells off broadcast. We were talking and I looked at that, but then I looked at the 2022 free agent. And it's like basically almost our starting defense and some of our offense. And I'm looking like, man, so whatever decisions that they make this year, I mean, there's basically no type of cap room. Whatever decisions they make are going to resonate to next season. And that's when, if they don't play their cards right and do what they need to do, you think we were 8-8 this year? Imagine what happened in 2022. Would be shoot.
And
We could be like a
see,
center football team.
and see the thing about it now, because you in the position that you in, you need to go all out for 2021, which is going to be the salary cap. The salary cap probably going to be $25 to $30 million less. You got Allen Robinson that's getting ready to walk because y'all ain't paid him his money. You don't know who I know who y'all quarterback going to be next year, but a lot of people don't know who the quarterback going to be next year. You got to find a defensive coordinator. You got a GM on the last year of his contract. The Bears are in and they're in purgatory right now. The entire organization, they're in purgatory right now. They are in purgatory, and we don't know what they can do to turn this around.
From a famous line from one of my favorite characters, Pretty Tony, man, the Bears have become a rest haven. ain't just because of the team. It's just because of some of the decisions they make. And the truth of the matter is, what you're saying is 1,000,000,000% correct. Because what we do is we look at these other teams, like Bernard and you guys were saying the other week. It's not that the Bears don't spend money. But it's just like you find a peg leg pirate over there that's 85 years old. You want to make him your starting quarterback. You give him $30 million, but then you see a guy out there who can help you, and you're like, no, he's out of our league. We can't afford him. That's why these great teams, they'll have a miss or two, but those teams that go out and look like when you draft, like for example, sometimes people say, oh, I'm going to get a quarterback. I'm going to get a quarterback. I'm going to get a quarterback. But then it's your time to draft, and the best player in the draft is there, and you're like, you know what? I don't care. I want to get a quarterback. But then that guy you passed over is the guy that's sacking your quarterback for the next 10 years.
Well,
Right.
if they had
I
followed
like to
that,
thank
they would have.
everybody who watching us tonight on YouTube and Twitch TV. It looked like we're having a little connection problem with Facebook, but I'll fix that later with Facebook. Hey, but let's do a quick season recap before we go into this.
One point first. If they would have followed that, they would have drafted Dak Prescott a couple years ago, as opposed to
in 2016. In 2016,
Right.
when they were in 2016,
and that would have solved our quarterback issue.
They had two fourth round picks that year, and they drafted a linebacker. They drafted a linebacker both times, and Dak Prescott was still on the board. I'm still mad about that, and that was before the Mitch thing. That was in 2016.
Right. Hey, so hold on. I'm gonna bring James into the stream. Join us. Hey, welcome James to the stream. How you doing tonight?
Doing well, man. Doing well.
Okay. Hey, we're about to do a quick season recap. The Bears went 8-8, and they opened up the season against it was Detroit. It looks like this is out of order. The first game was against Detroit, wasn't it? And that game really epitomized who the Bears were this season. That game kind of went on, and there was a drop pass by a rookie running back at the end of the game that would have actually lost the Bears that game. But anyway, the Bears got to 5-1 before they kind of went on this losing streak. At that point, the only winning team they beat turned out to be the only winning team they beat all year, which was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That was the only winning team they beat. Then after that, they the following week they played the Panthers, who they beat, and then they faced the Rams. They lost against the Rams. They lost to the Rams 24-10.
I wouldn't even say they faced the Rams.
Yeah, they did.
The Rams destroyed the Rams destroyed us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did.
Yeah, it wasn't even close. Hold on, I want to show something. This is funny. Hello. I'm not on the hot seat. We knew he was listening to us.
And yes, you are.
Right. Hey, but anyway, seasonal recap. The Bears the next week, the Bears lost to the Saints 26-23 in overtime. And then they met the Titans team, and both teams were on a losing streak. They lost to the Titans 17-24. They lost to the Vikings after that. They got destroyed by the Packers. This is a 6-game losing streak that they were referring to in the press conference. They lost to Detroit 34-30 at the end, right at the last minute of the game. Now they get to the Texans, who I believe at that time had only won 3 games at best. They get out the losing streak by beating the Texans. They beat the next week. They beat the Vikings, the Houston Texans,
Jacksonville.
Yeah, Jacksonville. Yeah. Then they get destroyed by the Packers.
Sounds like a trend.
Yep. And so hey, Mark, so here's something I would like to discuss because I've been having this debate
That's
with
mental,
some people.
That's mental though.
Yeah, I say this was a soft schedule.
Green Bay
Because
thing,
even though
that
they
Green Bay
only
thing,
beat
that's
one winning
mental.
team, 10 of the teams that the Bears played, well, not 10, 9 of the teams the Bears played did not win more games than the Bears. 9 of the teams won 7 or less games. So they beat all the bad teams. That's how they got to 8-8. They lost to 2 bad teams, which was Detroit and one other bad team. This is why they didn't have 10 to 12 victories.
Detroit
but they
and
lost
the Vikings.
all the good teams other than the Bucks.
They lost to every team in the division.
And every team in the division?
But I'm going to also disagree with you. I'm gonna also disagree with you about the scheduling thing. Is because if you look at the teams that's still in the playoffs, their schedule was softer than what the Bears' schedule was.
I agree.
That's just a fact.
Yeah.
If you look at the teams,
well, I think it's one thing. I think it's one thing we got to realize. We got to remember. We got to remember. If this was a regular playoff year, they would not have made the playoffs. This was an extra playoff spot.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
See, my point is, Jay, is the good teams beat the bad teams. That's my point. The Bears even lost to some of the bad teams as well. It ain't like they beat all the bad teams that was on their schedule, because if they had beat all the bad teams on their schedule, they wouldn't have lost that game to Detroit. They would have won that game to Detroit.
Out of all the teams that the Bears played, who they lost to, Detroit was the only bad team that they lost to. If you look at it, I mean, Detroit, if we go look at it 100, Detroit is the only bad team that the Bears lost to. Everybody else that they lost to is the playoff team.
He's got they were competitive.
And y'all know, and y'all know I've been on them all season, but I do still, when it comes down to it, as you do a season recap, to step back, digress, and look at the facts and be like, okay, yeah, it did happen like this, but at the same time, these are the circumstances. So I still look at it. Trust me, I ain't pushing for whatever they just did a couple of days ago or yesterday. But at the same time, I do step back and I look at the facts. The Bears lost. The only bad team the Bears lost to was Detroit.
Right. And so when you look at their schedule, the NFC was so bad, right? This is why they made it at an 8-8 record. Because if the NFC was if they was as good as the AFC team that got the 7th seed was 11-5. But the 7th seed in the NFC was 8-8. What you got, James, before we move to the next topic?
There you go.
Yeah, let me ask this question.
I was just gonna say real quick, James. I was just gonna say, just think, if the Bears was in the NFC East, they would have been a 4 seed?
Right.
I'm just saying.
They've been champions of the NFC East.
Right.
But let me ask you this question. Based on what you just said, do you support the decision to bring Nagy and Pace back?
No, I don't. I don't support the decision, but I understand the decision. And the bottom line is, right now, it was 7 head coaching spots available this year. And I'm looking at some of these guys that got hired as head coaches. I'm like, okay, that ain't good. They gonna be mired in mediocrity another few seasons. The only person that I actually see that might be able to do something is Jacksonville, because of Urban Meyer. And it ain't even about that. They got $70 million to spend under the salary cap and a number 1 draft pick. That speaks volume.
Right. So here's the first question. Here's the real first question of the night.
I just looked at all these guys that just got hired. I'm like, wow, really?
Hey, Jay, you're freezing up a little bit. Your screen is kind of freezing. At least from my vantage point, I don't know if it's freezing from anybody else.
I'm sorry. Did James finish his point? I wasn't sure if he finished his point.
No, I was just asking that one question.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. So anyway, the question is for the night is, what
I have to rephrase this. What do you think about the Bears retaining both Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy? Hey, Plank, can you play that tape? Let's bring that up. Let me edit this question.
You ready?
Yep.
How well in adversity. Usually when you go through a losing streak like that, people start pointing fingers, people start casting blame. That just didn't happen with our team. Like I said, that's credit to both the players and to Ryan and Matt for accomplishing that.
That's
Can you play it again?
Point.
I didn't hear it all.
Yes. Let's go.
How well the team stuck together during adversity. Usually when you go through a losing streak like that, people start pointing fingers, people start casting blame. That just didn't happen with our team. And like I said, that's a credit to both the players and to Ryan and Matt for accomplishing that.
Okay, so his answer was he liked how well they team stuck together through adversity through the 6-game losing streak. Who'd like to address that?
I got it. Okay. First of all, if you show me a good loser, I'll show you a consistent loser. And that's what we're talking about with the Bears. His argument made no sense. So he kept them around because while they were getting their butt kicked, they were smiling. I want somebody that while he's getting his butt kicked is going to claw and bite and scratch and fight his way out of it. And that's the guy that I'm going to go to work with because at nothing else, at least they learned something. At least they showed that they have some fortitude, that they have some get up and go, that they care. Not while they lost all of those games and sucked, they were smiling and they kept together. That's crazy. What do y'all think?
Okay.
You know what I think.
Yeah, but they need to know.
You want to know why?
You need to know.
Yeah, you're right. I'm saying, you know what? When I see that,
go ahead,
can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. When I see that video, I don't think about a guy assessing the team. I think about a dude that looked like he's trying to sell me a washing machine, man. That's what it look like. You know, it look like somebody should be making decisions. But like my thing is, I don't care if you're a starter. I don't care if you sit on a bench. Everybody's position is up. Your starter position is up. You got to fight for your position, number one. Number two, if the front office was so concerned and talking about people sticking together, what you need to do is walk over to Mr. Nagy and say, you know what? If I see you with anything that look close to a card with plays on it, I will fire you in the middle of the game. I will announce it on the field. We brought an offensive coordinator in to be an offensive coordinator. And from maybe my eyes standpoint, when he got in there, when you left him alone and let him run plays, we had some continuity. You know what I'm saying? We were able to move the ball. We did some great things. I mean, he's not perfect, but he did a daggone good job with what he did. And then all of a sudden, Nagy's like the dude that stood up and like, oh, they doing good. Okay. And they come in at the last minute, you know, and saying, oh, I'm responsible for this and that. And then he take over and just screw everything up and then turn around and say, see, Bill, I told you, you shouldn't have. My opinion, I would have got rid of Pace and Nagy because what's going to happen is next year with the whole free agency, you got a different thing. Because now, in order to even kind of contend for a playoff position, you almost kind of like got to bring a lot of guys that you wouldn't normally bring back just to have a little continuity.
All right. Okay. Hey, you got it, Jay?
Yeah, I was going to say, I knew they was going to bring back both Nagy and Pace. For one, Nagy got 2 years left on his contract. Ryan Pace got 1 year. So whatever happened next year, Ryan Pace is going to be gone. Then you got a GM, whoever that's going to be, you're going to hire a GM. And then he's going to bring in his own coach, which leaves Matt Nagy out the door. But at the same time, I've been telling y'all all season, as I looked at that press conference yesterday, I don't understand why Ted Phillips got anything to say. If he's not involved in the football operations, what does he have to say? And he said a couple of things, and I'm looking at him like, okay, what are you talking about? if you're not involved in the football operations, then you have no business at this press conference. So that tells me, and I've said it all season, and I've been saying it for the last couple of years, up until Ted Phillips resign, retire, get fired, or whatever he gonna do, and you get a football guy in the office, the Bears are gonna be mediocre.
That's true, man. Because it's almost like you go to a bar and order a shot of some rum, and you get like a shot of hot dog water. You know what I'm saying? It just ain't.
Hot dog water.
Hey, James, what's your opinion on? You heard the video, you heard the press conference, and his specific point is how they stuck together through the losing streak, and there was no finger pointing.
Well, first of all, my man, you weren't supposed to tell how many years they left on the contract. Remember? Remember hearing the press conference? They wouldn't tell us that like it was top secret.
Right.
But the thing is that everything being considered, I think it made sense to bring them back for one more year, because the Bears are not actually a bad team. They are mediocre. Now, I believe business-wise, because their extra source of income, which is the fan-generated income, isn't there, they probably made sense from it for them from that standpoint to run it back one more time. But I'm glad I hope they don't run it back more than this 1 year. But the thing is, I do agree with you that I won't say he needs to be fired, but he needs to be moved from the football side to the business side, and that's Ted Phillips. Okay, because I think the leadership, and I'm looking at the Cubs. Okay, Theo Epstein was president of baseball operations. He had nothing to do with all that other stuff of building Wrigley Field. You let the business people handle that. His job was controlling what went on the diamond. And that's what the Bears need, somebody up there that controls what happens on the field. And until you get Ted Phillips out of that equation, you're going to have this problem forever, because all he's looking at is the bottom line. He's not looking at winning. And let's face it, in the NFL, everybody's printing money. So you will not lose money. So you should be focused more on winning. There's no reason not to.
Yeah. Hey, my take on this question, and I'm going to start from the press conference. His answer on the press conference was insulting our intelligence. You know, as far as because they stuck together through a losing streak. Come on. You was in the losing streak because of the coaching and the players. I mean, think about it. I mean, you can have bad teams have losing streaks all the time, right? And when teams have a culture of losing, they really don't turn on each other. People turn on each other is because they're used to winning. That's when they start turning on. But when players start getting comfortable with losing, they don't turn on each other. I'm talking about as far as the reference to I'm making that comment. But anyway, as far as retaining them, I think from a business sense, if he had presented what James said from a business sense and all that, you know, and he could have coded it, blamed COVID and this and that, at least wouldn't have assaulted our intelligence, because it would make sense as far as revenue and et cetera. I do agree with that. Hey, Plank, do you have those other videos?
Yep, I'm ready.
The next one.
Wait, before we go to that, I got a question. Yep. Do you guys think if there would have been fans allowed in the stadium, and during the middle of this losing streak, like by game 4, half the people would have stopped showing up? Do you think that would influence the decision to keep Nagy in pace?
That doesn't happen.
No, I don't think so.
No. James, I'm gonna tell you as a season ticket holder, I have been through a lot of bad seasons, and we have never once not went to a game.
Glutton for punishment.
Glutton for punishment. That's a good way to put it. And I'm gonna tell you.
Dickus last year, people stopped showing up a little bit. Dickus last year, people didn't show up to the last couple of games.
Even back, I want to say that was in 20. I want to say John Fox last year. We actually was going to games, and there wasn't many people there. So if people have done it, but you got, like he said, the people that's just a glutton for punishment. And the fact that I paid for my damn ticket, I'm going to Soldier Field.
Hey, but
Right.
James, you know what though? If you want that question answered, look no further than Orange Julius that just got out of the office. You can't tell a narcissist that believes that they're beautiful that they're ugly. Because the truth of the matter is, you could tell them they're ugly all day, and it goes through one end out the other, man. Because some fans could boo. They could even throw some old 45s or like the shy lights or something at the 50-yard line and blow them up. And you know what they'll say? Well, maybe we should incorporate pyrotechnics into our halftime. And they're gonna sit up and think, well, the fans are pissed, and that's the reason why I say even if the fans went off, they would is regardless of what happens, they know what's more best for them than we do, and we the fans.
And if you look at it, let's say the season played out exactly the same. Okay, you would have still had that last game against Green Bay was in Green Bay, right?
No, that last one was in
Chicago.
Is this Soldier Field? Okay.
Chicago.
They came to your house in
Chicago. Okay, so if you look at it, the fans would have been there, right?
65,000 strong. 65,000 strong.
Yeah, because that would have been the game that the Bears needed to win to have a chance at getting the playoff. You know what I'm saying? If the season played out the same. So that would have been probably a game that the fans probably. So even though they would have been born at the end of the game, they got the fans' money at that point, and at some point you'd already found out they was going to the playoff.
Yeah, so, but remember, the last time they had a big shakeup was in a game against Green Bay where they got embarrassed, and the old lady was firing everybody. I don't even work for the team. She tried to fire me. Okay.
Yeah, but you know what?
She was firing everybody, and that's when they made their last major change.
But that didn't result into a playoff, though. That's the difference too. The Bears, I know they adjusted it, but I'm saying the Bears still made the playoff. And that year they didn't.
No. So the picture, didn't Lovie Smith have one of the best records against Green Bay? And then didn't he get fired in 10-6? I mean, of course, we can look at the color. But the fact of the matter is, from a casual fan, if we're having this show and Lovie Smith's the coach and he did what he did and he beat Green Bay twice and we lost in the playoffs, yeah, he'd be mad. But for the most part, we'll be able to look up and we'd be like, man, we lost this, but we beat Green Bay. We lose to Green Bay twice. We go 5-1 and we just basically tank out. And then now they're talking about, oh, I love the way you guys stuck together. It's like, but I don't like the way people sat up here and took all these rich millionaires and treat them with kid gloves. If you start taking, like, if these guys has got these contract incentives for the number of snaps or the percentages that you pay, get X amount of dollars, if you were able to hang something like that over their head and snatch them out the game, guys, of course, they'd be mad and all that other stuff. But by the same token, it'll let your small guy out there who may be playing mediocre, I'm not going to say nothing, but number 24 probably would have did a better job. But maybe that's
what I'll tell you is what they should have looked at was this. The Bears started out hot, had a bad offense. Then they went through a losing streak, and the offense was still bad. Then they decided to turn over the offensive play calling to Laser, and the offense set records for a 5-game streak that went all the way back to 1965. And Nagy couldn't take it. So immediately when it comes down to games that matter, now you got what I call Nagy, what I call the offense was professional. He went out there and he decided to take over the reins, and all of a sudden they stopped scoring 30 points a game and went right back into those nonsensical plays. So if anything, what they needed to be doing with Nagy, if they weren't going to take away his role as an offensive coordinator, they should have fired him as coach.
Or they should have done this, man, from game one. The coach should have just been the coach and said, look, I'm paying this guy Laser to be my offensive coordinator. You go through the whole season. At the end of the season, if we suck, I don't have to point fingers at you. You can point fingers at yourself. But I guarantee you, even with what we started with at the beginning, if we just gave Laser the offensive playbook and let him run this, I will guarantee, from what I saw and what we had, number one, with that lucky game that we had against Detroit, what makes great teams, separate from the other teams. The great teams in that film session Monday, they'd have ran that doggone drop pass about 60 times in the film room and say, I'll be damned if I let any of y'all get back there in the secondary. If somebody poop too loud, if you're not standing there making a tackle, you gone. But it's like, ooh, oh, we dodged a good one. Okay, let's go to the next game. And that's why the great teams win, because they fix mistakes and do what they supposed to doggone do, and it's not rocket science.
Right. Hey, okay, let's run this video of Ted Phillips, who's not actually part of football operations, but he's at the press conference, but he's not part of football operations. He did part of the evaluation, but he's not part of football operations.
You ready?
Yep.
Yeah.
You'll hear that he has. That's what we heard. I'm not going to get into the specifics, but when we've looked at that and we've looked at how the drafts have improved in the last 3 years versus the prior 3 years, we see lots of reasons for hope. We have a young foundation that we can build on.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a narc. That's a narc.
Bernard, attack that, Bernard. Attack it. Attack that. I know you got it. Attack that.
Hey, you know what? Before we're gonna look at the drafts. Now, one thing I found interesting is the way he said it. He said we have got better the last 3 years than we did the first 3 years, which indicated to me he thought they failed the first 3 years.
Right.
I got that out of that, right? And he but I'm still puzzled of why Ted Phillips is at this press conference making an evaluation if all he is he's the finance guy and he's he has nothing to do with football operation. I mean, I don't get that. So anybody else want to say something before we go over the draft pick?
Yeah, he felt like Nagy. He needed to get his 5 minutes in the spotlight too.
That's the only thing I can see. He just wanted to be up there. He just wanted to be up there because, again, like I said, if you're not part of the draft process, you're not part of the football operations. What is your title? First of all, what is your title? I don't even know what your title is, but you've been here
president
so long.
of the Bears.
He's president of the Bears. So what does that mean? What does that mean? So if he's president of the Bears, George McCaskey is what, the owner? Virginia is the owner. We got too many cooks in the kitchen. Too many cooks in the kitchen.
It goes like this: Virginia's the CEO. Virginia's the owner emeritus. George is the CEO, and Phillips is the president. Okay, and Ryan Pace answers to Phillips, not the board. To Phillips. That means that Phillips is head of football. But I don't care how they want to explain it. Look who's making the calls, who's making the decisions. And the person that's making the ultimate decision on the GM and everything is Ted Phillips. That means he's head of football operations.
Which means
that's how
to fight
too, James.
Which means if you got a financial guy, president of football operations, you're gonna mire mediocrity. Which, to go totally off script, that's why the Dallas Cowboys ain't gonna never win a championship, because you got somebody like Jerry Jones, who's the owner of the team, but he's making all the football decisions. I tell people all the time, I could be a billionaire and go out and buy the Chicago Fire soccer team right now. I don't know nothing about soccer. So I need to get somebody that's going to be in a position to make better decisions for their team. Just because I'm the owner doesn't mean I get to make the final. Well, I do get to make the final decision, but how good is my team going to be? And this is where the Bears are at. This is where they at. And until that change, we're going to be 8-8. We're going to be 8-8.
When something goes wrong with your car, do you go out and try to fix it, or do you take it to a mechanic?
Like I said, hey, Big Game Birds, I gotta explain this to you if you haven't seen it. I was saying, Nagy, what you do is like when you were a parent Your kid want to play the video games, but you give him the one that don't work, so he can stay up here and do like that. And this one go to Nagy. My thing is, the only question you should be answering to me is if I say, "Man, I thought I got a raise. What happened to the money?" And then the answer I should get from you, you need to check your barber, the direct department. You know what I'm saying? You don't need to be talking about nothing but whether the ink is dry on the signature on the checks, whether you sign and stuff. I don't need you to be making that. But just like you said with Jerry Jones, Jerry Jones is like that dude who never played professional football, but now he's an owner. So now he wants to pretend like he played and he knows more than you about football. Right?
That sounds like Nagy. I'm sorry.
Right. Hey, so let's, you know what? I like to take. Hold on a minute. I like to thank everybody who's watching us tonight on not Facebook tonight, but YouTube and Twitch TV, and we'll be able to load the YouTube later on. But hey, let's get to the draft, and then if you got any comments, you can kind of come in backtrack on your comments. But let's get into this draft to see what's his evaluation. Correct, or do we agree or disagree with Ted Phillips' evaluation?
Wait, Bernard, am I about to be mad?
I don't know. Let's see. Can you make that a little bigger, Plank?
I can.
So we're
little credits.
So we going through 2015 draft to 2020. Let's go to the next page. Okay. Let's go here.
Lord have mercy.
These are the picks in his first year. Kevin White, Eddie Gold. I don't even know how you pronounce his name.
I don't like his mom.
Grassu. Okay. Jeremy Langford and Amos.
Adrian Amos.
Amos, and you got Taylor. Who's that? Fabuji. Whatever that is.
Yeah.
Sixth round. Okay.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Oh boy.
So
two decent players out of that draft.
Right. Who's still
Eddie
on the
Goldman.
team? Just Eddie Gold?
Goldman.
Yep.
Eddie Goldman.
Okay. Gold is on. Let's go to the next
Adrian
draft.
Amos is still on the team. Didn't he catch? Oh, that was from Aaron Rodgers.
No.
Yeah.
He's on. I think he's on Green Bay, right?
Yeah, he catches Green Bay right now.
It seemed like he was on our squad.
Right.
Yeah.
Guy who we drafted.
Yeah.
Even if he is in a Green Bay uniform.
Now this is what I'm mad about.
This one I'm mad about. First pick of that draft is Leonard Floyd, Cody Whitehair.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jonathan Floyd had a great season for the. I mean, oh man, he's a Rams.
Okay.
We got Nick Bush, DeAndre Hall, DeAndre Hall.
Yep.
Jordan Howard, DeAndre
Houston.
Houston. Hold on. And we kind of lost the screen for a minute.
Daniel Braverman.
Daniel Braverman. Okay. Let's go to the next.
That's the draft I'm mad about. Because you could have had Dak Prescott right there.
No, that's not this draft. I think it's the next one.
No, it's 2016.
Prescott was that draft because Trubisky was.
Prescott
17.
was this draft.
Okay.
Trubisky was
yes, that's
draft.
right.
You drafted Nick Kwiatkowski and Deion Bush, and Dak Prescott was still on the board. And not only that, you still had DeAndre Hall. So you had 3 picks in the 4th round, and you passed up Dak Prescott.
I see your point.
That's the one thing.
Hey Jay, hold on, Jay. Let's go back for a second. Now, when Ryan Pace came here, he said he was going to draft a quarterback every year.
Every year.
Not for us.
Yeah. So this is his 2nd year.
He was talking about his Madden team. He took a quarterback this year, his Madden team. We're talking about
he passed on Dak Prescott, who was there in the 3rd round. He didn't get him. So he didn't keep his word that he was on draft a quarterback. Okay, let's go back to the 2017 draft.
Okay.
Okay, we got Mitchell Trubisky, Adam Shaheen, Eddie Jackson, Tariq Cohen, and Jordan Morgan. Okay, we all know the history of Trubisky. We'll get to Trubisky later. Adam Shaheen, okay. Now, we was playing what, Division 3?
Yep.
Yeah, but guess what? No. But guess what? Guess what? He just got a 2-year contract extension with the Miami Dolphins.
He got
so obviously he's doing something right. But that's a whole nother coaching thing.
Yep.
That's all
I've seen him play this year. He played better. He played better this year.
Hey, so let's stop there. What do y'all think about the first 3 years of his drafts?
Tariq Cohen was basically a gem that he found in that 4th round. Eddie Jackson started out with a lot of promise. Now he's stealing money. But I can't fault that draft. Because of Tariq Cohen and Eddie Jackson, I think that's a successful draft.
Yeah, I give him that. I'll definitely give him that on 2017.
Yeah, the 17 was much better than 15 and 16.
But if you know what? But if you go back to 2016, if you want to be realistic about it, they still got 3 of those guys from the 2016 draft that's still on his team.
Yeah, they play special teams. You're right.
Be it the special teams. And I said at the beginning of the year, I was so tired of looking at the DeAndre Carson Houstons of the world and all these guys. I'm so sick of these guys. But every year they bring these guys back on a 1-year, $800,000 contract, and they continue to play special team. So if you want to look at that draft, that was a successful draft.
Right.
Yeah,
okay, let's go to
all working the same.
Let's go to 2018 draft.
Sorry.
Yep, we went one ahead. Okay. So 2018, Roquan Smith, James Daniels, Anthony Miller. Joe is too many vowels and consonants. Bilal Nichols.
He's a player.
Yep.
He's a player.
Is that Khalil Fitz? Javon Williams.
Don't mention Javon Williams. Touchdown, dropping, but
everybody in this draft is still on the team though, except Kylie Fitz. Kylie Fitz is the only person that's not on this team. He's the only one.
I think he got replaced by Kylie Jenner.
And note that in the regular season this year, Williams only caught 6 passes, and he played in 13 games, but he's caught 6 passes.
And use him as a blocking wide receiver.
As a blocking wide receiver. Yeah.
Okay, let's go to the 2019 draft. Okay, we didn't have a first or second round pick because we gave those up. We got David Montgomery.
Good pick.
Riley Ridley. Duke Shelley. What's that? I think that's Kareth White. Stephen Denmark.
Who went to Pittsburgh and played.
Is that another person on there? Okay, that's it.
And Stephen Denmark. Right.
Stephen Denmark. Okay, let's go to 2020 draft. Okay, no first round picks again. We got Cole Kmet, Jalen Johnson. Was that Travis Gibson? Was that Kendall Valador? Is that Darnell Mooney?
Vidor.
Hey, that made a draft right there.
Yeah, that was the draft. Yeah.
Him and Johnson, that's a draft.
And I guess that's Luscious. Whatever, Simmons. Luscious, whatever.
Latavius Simmons.
Latavius Simmons, okay.
Latavius Simmons.
Hey, what y'all think about the last 3 years?
Like Avius, man.
So what y'all think about the last 3 years?
Mooney,
Mooney and Johnson, yeah. That definitely makes a difference.
They did. I'll give them that, but
and not only that, you got to look at the draft with Duke Shelley. Duke Shelley played an integral part of this season based on the fact that Jalen Johnson got hurt. Then you still got to talk about Jalen Johnson. You know what? It's hard. It's really, really hard to congratulate Pace and be on his side because of the performance of the players. But when you look at the draft, the last 3 years, they've been okay. They've been outside of Mitch being drafted in 2017. It's hard to condemn it. It's hard to condemn it. It really is, and that's just my personal opinion.
Well, you saying the last 3 years, right?
I'm saying the last 3 years.
3 years.
You talking about 2017? 18, 19, and 20. The 2018, 2019, and the 2020 draft.
Right. Okay. All right.
Duke Shelley's an upgrade.
Years, they only had one. Okay, but they only had one first round draft pick, correct?
Correct.
Roquan Smith.
Roquan Smith was the only one in 2018. Yep.
Right.
Now you compare that to the first 3 years, where 2 of their first round picks were guys who did not play a lot in college.
Ham sandwich. Sorry.
Kevin White and Mitch Trubisky. But their first round pick the last 3 years was Roquan Smith, who was a multi-year starter at Georgia, and Stevie Wonder could see that dude was covering everything on the field. Okay, he made Oklahoma change their offensive game plan because he was covering them so much. So if Pace would have missed on that when he was there, he was supposed to be fired before the draft was over. Okay, so I can't say.
I'm sorry. Hey, Jay, go ahead.
I don't put a lot of stock in the draft because I'm gonna tell y'all something. When the Bears drafted Kevin White, he was the second best rated wide receiver behind Amari Cooper in that draft. And when you at that position at number 7, you take the best available player who we thought was the best available player. That's why I don't put a lot of stock in the draft because it's a crapshoot. It's a crapshoot. When the Chiefs drafted Patrick Mahomes, they didn't know they was finna get what they got.
Agreed.
Come on, man.
Agreed.
I just don't put a lot of stock in the draft. You got guys.
But that's your chance to build your team. You have to make an educated guess on it.
You have to make your educated guess. You have to make an educated guess. Just like the Bears made an educated guess that Trubisky was the number 1 rated wide quarterback in the 2017 draft, and Pace thought he was going to get a steal. He thought he was going to get a steal because Trubisky was the number 1 rated quarterback. He was the number 1
dude they made fun of. They told this dude, everybody went around and told this dude.
I don't believe that. That's a myth, man.
To get him to fall into it, and he fell into the trap.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that.
And this is what I'll say about that question. I think, hello, Jay. I do, a reference to that question, I do think that he did do better the last 3 years than he did the first 3 years.
Had to.
Looking at the draft. I will just say this before we move to the next point is Jay is right. It's a crapshoot in the draft. But I will say this. To me, you have to look at how players play in college. I think sometimes what happened in the draft is guys come to the Senior Bowl, or sometimes the scouting combine, and this guy runs this 4.2 or 4.3, but he only caught 30 balls a year in college. Okay, sometimes you got to trust what kind of football player was he in college versus how did he do in those what was that point?
You're right. But as far as what doomed Trubisky and Ryan Pace is that he paid so much to move up one spot. That's like you paying your boy $10 to get this lady's phone number that you already got in your pocket.
That's your tranny.
And she a tranny. With that, hey, let's hope that don't happen.
Hey,
what y'all think of? Hold, let me read the next question. What y'all think will happen with Mitch Trubisky? Yeah. Hey, let me what y'all think gonna happen to Mitch Trubisky? But I want to read 2 things that we've heard the last 2 days. Ted Phillips Ted Phillips said this of the last 2 days. Mitch has done everything. Oh, hold on. I'm sorry. This is what Ted Phillips is saying about Ryan Pace. I'm sorry. Ted Phillips says Ryan Pace has done everything besides find a quarterback and win enough. Green Bay owner said. Green Bay owner. Lombardi said this. Winning ain't everything. It's the only thing.
It's the only thing. It's the only thing.
Okay. David said, "Just win, baby.
Just win, baby." Now,
a commitment to excellence.
Right.
A commitment to excellence.
Let me read this one other statement. Let's dive in this question about Mitch. What's going to happen with Mitch? This is a comment by George McCaskey at the press conference. He's referring to Mitch. He's an outstanding young man. His teammates love him. He works his butt off. He loves the game of football off the field, and he was an outstanding representative of the Bears. Let's go there. To me, that sounds like both of them have already told you what's going on.
He didn't say we wish him well.
The tallest midget.
He didn't say we wish him well.
He's the tallest midget I've ever seen.
Because they can't
like any wear shoes. Jeez.
Tallest midget.
Hey, what y'all think? Y'all think Mitch is gone? Y'all think Mitch is gone?
You know what?
He's done.
And like I said, with what we got in free agency and all that stuff, the way you look at it, you would think one of the logical things, I guess, if you want to have some continuity, is have somebody for 1 year. But through that conference, what I saw is they basically going to move away. But now, guess what happens? You're going another year with Nick falling backwards Foles, as Tammy says, and he's going to be your quarterback. But the difference being now, if he sucks, the difference next year from this year, he not gonna get bit. So I think Mitch is gone. I wish him well. I like him. I mean, but that's just the way it goes, man. I think they've already resigned their fate for Mitch. So I think Mitch is gone and may go to somewhere like Miami or Cowboys Patriots. Or somewhere be a backup of Patriots. He might start with the Patriots the way Cam been playing, and then he ain't got all them them sombreros with flip flops either.
What about you, Jay? What you say? Is Mitch gone?
Unfortunately, I think he is. I would love for him to stick around one more year. I would love for them to have him around one more year. But the fact is that Mitch and Nagy can coexist. So if you didn't get rid of the coach, you got to get rid of the quarterback. It's unfortunate. I think Nick Foles will come into the 2021 season as the starter for the Chicago Bears, which is not saying a lot to me. But yeah, I think Mitch is gone. I think he's gonna do better somewhere else. Somebody that's gonna coach him up to his strengths, because he can't read defense as well. He's gonna be he's got to go somewhere where somebody can coach him up to his strengths, and I think he's gonna be in somewhere like Dallas or San Francisco, maybe even New England, to finish his career off.
Okay. Hey, Mike, what do you think? Based off what they said at the press conference, is Mitch gone?
Yeah, I think Mitch is gone. But I think what Mitch is going to do is go to another team, i.e. Doug Flutie. You remember when Doug Flutie came out with the old Bears and everybody made such a big joke about it, and then Doug Flutie ended up coming back a couple years later and beating the Bears, which was largely the members of the '85 Bears. So I think Mitch is still destined to be a good NFL quarterback. He's not going to be a superstar, but I think he's serviceable. And I wish him the best luck, and I hope he catches on with another team that's not the Green Bay Packers.
Right.
Hey, what about you, Jay? Based off the statements you heard, what do you think, Jay?
To think about that.
I think that Mitch Trubisky, and I think it kind of falls in line with Nagy and Pace. They all were here for on-the-job training. So I think Trubisky's going to catch on with another team. The Patriots thing sounds intriguing. With McDaniels up there working with him. He might succeed there. But I think he's gone. I think he will do better in his next stop. I think he'll have a long career in the NFL, be very successful. If he gets with the right people, I would not be surprised to see him quarterbacking in the Super Bowl.
And James, to your point, I'm going to add another team. I named a few teams. I'm going to add another team. Watch out for the Pittsburgh Steelers. that could be a destination for Trubisky because Big Ben's career might be over, and Mason Rudolph don't look like the guy. So that's another team that could be very intriguing. The Pittsburgh Steelers and Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah. No, Coach Nagy, I don't like where you're at.
Man, we got to put some intel out there because B just basically told us about Deshaun.
Right. That's what I was about to say. Hey, Jay.
What he said basically let him know hell to the no to the Bears. So that's all it takes.
Hey, Jay, before we close out, can you share what was said by Deshaun Watson in reference to the Bears, please?
Oh, yeah, because I'm reading some of these comments. down here. Deshaun Watson just tweeted out an hour before this show, I will not accept a trade to the Bears because they didn't draft me ahead of Trubisky. So
the team that drafted you didn't do that well, which is a what?
Every Bears fan that want Watson to come here and y'all want the Bears to throw all these draft picks and players, it ain't happening because Watson said he don't want to be here. So
Bears don't have the assets to get him anyway.
He got two teams he don't want to be at. He need to watch that.
And you know my thing is too, what I want as a Bears fan, what I want as a season ticket holder is stop trading away your damn draft picks. Excuse my language. Stop trading away your first round picks. Build your team. Build your team. We haven't had a first round draft pick since Roquan Smith, and that was 2 years ago. I mean,
did you say you were kind of down on the draft though?
I was down on what draft?
You said you don't have that much faith in the draft anyway.
The draft process, yeah. But at the same time, you can't build your team if you don't have the attempt to build it with. And when you don't have first round picks, you got 52 players that's going to be picked before you even get a chance to pick at least one that might be good. So the draft is a crapshoot. But at the same time, you can't build your team through the draft if you got the right people that's making the picks.
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
You go into the club, you got to let all 52 women go past before you can pick one.
Right. I got 52 fine women that's gonna walk past me like, ooh, I can't even pick her because you ain't like her yet.
Yeah, but if you get up in the club, you go get some drinks and bring back them shots, and it's that hot dog water.
Hey, Jay, that's a great point you make because when you're looking at the draft, what the Bears have did on the pace early on is if he messed up on a draft pick, he signed a free agent to try to cover for the draft. For example, Adam Shaheen was a bad draft, so now you're turning back around, and now you got to get Cole Kmet. But because you're not really sure about Cole Kmet because he's a rookie, you signed Jimmy Graham. And because
you signed Jimmy Graham. You signed Jimmy Graham. You signed Demetrius Harris. You have 12 tight ends in your tight end room before your season even starts because you don't even know what you got.
Right.
Jimmy Graham got 9 touchdowns.
Yeah, he did. I'm not criticizing Graham. I'm just saying if you got the draft pick right, you're signing free agents because you think you messed up on a draft. So now I got to sign a free agent to cover for the draft pick, right? So now Jimmy Graham got the touchdown, but okay, because we messed up on Trubisky, let me get Foles, right? And you paying him. I know Glennon was signed the same year, which was a different conversation. Then you get Chase Daniels. You know, you're paying all these backups and you're not even paying them backup money. You're paying them starters money. These guys are getting $20 million to be backups. And to me, it's like just, we getting a plan just in case we know this Mitch can't play. So to me, that's why I always said that he knew he did not want to coach Mitch up. What he really wanted to do last year was just prove Mitch was not his quarterback so he could go get a quarterback who he thought was Foles. So I guess on the next show, what we could talk about, I'm sorry. The next show probably going to be Kiki Mingo.
Oh, Markevius? Okay.
Yes. The nickname is Kiki.
Yeah, Martinez, Kiki
wow.
Mingo.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
That dude too big for me to make jokes about though.
He's too big for me to call him Kiki.
Right.
Hey, we gonna have to tease him about that when he come on. But anyway, I'm waiting on his call to set up the program, and then before we close out, let's look at this weekend. We got about 2 or 3 minutes, and we're gonna close out. Hey, let me run through this, and tell me who you got. You don't need to give me no points. Okay, this weekend, tomorrow we have the Rams and the Packers. Who you got, guy?
Between the Packers and the Rams.
Yep.
Rams, man.
Hey, Jay, who you got?
Rams.
Packers.
Okay, James.
Packers.
Okay, I got Packers too. Hey, the next game tomorrow is the Ravens and the Bills. I'm gonna go with the Bills. What about you, James?
Ravens.
Okay, Jay.
Bills.
Plank.
Bills.
Okay. Hey, Guy.
I'm gonna go with the Ravens because I'm trying to get rid of some Bills.
Okay. Okay, the first game on Sunday, we have the Browns and the Chiefs. Who you got, Guy?
You can push already. You already know. KC.
Okay. Jay.
Browns.
Okay. Hey, Plank.
Clapping them Chiefs.
Okay. I'm gonna go with the Chiefs. What about you, James?
Hey, they gonna run it back, Chiefs.
Chiefs gonna run it back. Okay. The last game is gonna be the Buccaneers and the Saints. We're gonna start out with you, Jay. Who you got?
Saints.
Okay. Guy, who you got?
Saints.
Okay. Hey, Plank.
The battle of the 1,000-year-old quarterbacks. Saints.
Saints. Okay. Hey, what about you, James?
Wait a minute, which one is older, Brady or Breeze?
Brady.
Brady. All right, I'm going
Yeah.
Buccaneers.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna go with the Saints. I think they got a better defense, and Tom been struggling against good defenses this year. But anyway, hey, I'd like to thank everybody who tuned in today to Bears Banter. We'll see you on the next show of Bears Banter. Peace.